Picture this. I'm standing in front of my bedroom mirror, the late afternoon sun spilling through the blinds, casting long, lazy shadows across the hardwood floor. My reflection stares back at me, a 35-year-old woman with a few laugh lines starting to carve their story around my eyes. I'm Brooke, and this little slice of suburban life just outside Chicago is my world. It's not glamorous, not by a long shot, but it's mine. My days are a blur of deadlines as a graphic designer, hunched over my laptop in our cozy home office, tweaking logos and layouts until my eyes burn. My nights, well, they're spent trying to keep the embers of connection glowing in my marriage to Ethan, my husband of 8 years. He's 38, a sales manager with a knack for closing deals and a dry sense of humor that still catches me off guard. Ethan's my steady ground, the kind of man who can fix a leaky faucet or just sit with me in silence when the world feels too heavy. His hazel eyes crinkle at the corners when he smiles, and even after all this time, that smile can make my heart do a little flip. Our life looks ordinary from the outside. Neatly trimmed lawns, a 2-story house with a slightly crooked mailbox, and the hum of neighborhood kids playing down the street. But beneath the surface, there's a quiet strain. Ethan's long hours at work and my endless client revisions have carved out a space between us. A gap we haven't quite figured out how to bridge. We haven't had a proper date night in months, the kind where we dress up and pretend we're still those giddy 20-somethings sneaking kisses in the back of a movie theater. Instead, we've settled into routines, comfortable but sometimes suffocating. Still, we've got our people, the ones who keep us grounded, who remind us there's more to life than spreadsheets and design software. Ethan's tight-knit circle of friends is like an extension of our family, and I've grown to love them as much as he does. There's Mark, 40, a divorced mechanic whose laugh booms like a thunderclap, filling any room he's in. He's got a rough-around-the-edges charm, hands always smudged with grease, but a heart bigger than Lake Michigan. Then there's Jenna, Mark's younger sister, 36, a nurse who's always the life of the party. She's got this infectious energy, the kind that makes you forget your worries as she drags you onto the dance floor, or in our case, to the nearest karaoke mic. And Travis, 33, the quiet one of the bunch, a software developer with a sharp wit that sneaks up on you. He's the observer, always catching the little details the rest of us miss. And when he does speak, it's usually to drop a line so clever it leaves us all in stitches. These group hangouts are my lifeline, especially after a week of wrestling with picky clients or waiting for Ethan to get home from another late night at the office. So, when Ethan suggested a night out at Lucky Strike Bowling Alley with the gang, I didn't hesitate. It felt like a chance to hit the reset button, to laugh and let loose in a way we hadn't in ages. Now, here I am, stepping into the buzzing chaos of the alley, the neon lights flickering over the polished lanes in electric blues and pinks, casting a surreal glow on everything. The air is thick with the scent of greasy pizza and stale beer, a combination that's oddly comforting in its nostalgia. The sound of pins crashing echoes through the space, mixing with the thumping bass of some retro rock song blaring from the speakers. It's loud, it's messy, and it's exactly what I needed. I glance over at the group as we claim our lane, shoes swapped for those clunky rentals that somehow make everyone look a little ridiculous. Mark's already at the line, rolling his first ball of the night, and, predictably, it veers straight into the gutter. He spins around, arms flailing, and hollers something about bad vibes messing with his game. His voice carries over the noise, that booming laugh of his drawing a few curious glances from nearby lanes. Jenna, perched on a plastic chair with a margarita in hand, rolls her eyes and calls out a snarky jab about his form, looking like a toddler throwing a tantrum. I can't help but snicker, catching her eye as we share a quick, knowing grin. It's our little ritual, ganging up on the guys when they get too full of themselves, and it feels like a secret handshake between us. Meanwhile, Travis is up next, all quiet focus as he lines up his shot. The ball glides down the lane with precision, knocking down nearly every pin, and he turns back with this smug little grin that says he knows he's killing it. He doesn't say much, just gives a small nod as if to say, "That's how it's done," before sliding back to his seat. Ethan claps him on the shoulder, chuckling, and I can't help but notice how relaxed my husband looks tonight. His shoulders aren't hunched with the usual tension from work, and there's a lightness in his hazel eyes I haven't seen in weeks. It warms me, seeing him like this, even if there's a tiny knot in my chest, a whisper of worry that we're not as close as we used to be. I push it down, though, determined to soak in this moment. When it's my turn, I grab a ball, feeling the weight of it in my hands, and give it my best shot. It wobbles a bit, but manages to clip enough pins for a spare. I spin around, grinning like I've just won the lottery, and Ethan's right there, wrapping an arm around my waist. His breath is warm against my ear as he murmurs, "Not bad, rookie," with that teasing tone that still sends a little. I'm still catching my breath from that spare, Ethan's arm lingering around my waist for a moment longer before he steps back to cheer on the next bowler. The energy of the night is electric, and I'm riding that high, laughing with Jenna over another of Mark's dramatic gutterball antics. But I need a quick break to grab my jacket from the locker area. Those rental shoes aren't exactly cozy, and the air in here has a chill despite the crowd. So, I excuse myself, weaving through the throngs of people, the clatter of pins and shouts of victory fading into a dull hum behind me as I head toward the quieter section of the alley. The fluorescent lights are dimmer here, casting long, eerie shadows across the tiled floor, and the noise of the lanes feels like a distant memory. It's just me, the faint echo of my footsteps, and the jingle of my locker key in my hand as I fumble to find the right one. I'm just about to slot the key into the lock when I hear it. Soft, deliberate footsteps approaching from behind. My spine stiffens a little, an instinctual reaction, and I turn my head to see Mark and Travis coming down the narrow hallway. Their faces are unreadable, a stark contrast to the boisterous energy they usually carry. Normally, Mark's got that thunderous laugh trailing him, and Travis is quick with a sly comment. But now? There's a strange intensity in their eyes, a heaviness that makes my stomach twist in a way I can't quite name. I force a small smile, trying to shake off the unease, but it doesn't stick. Mark stops a few feet away, hands shoved deep into his pockets, and Travis lingers just behind him, his gaze fixed on me like he's studying every move I make. "Hey, Brooke," Mark starts, his voice low, almost a murmur, so different from his usual boom. "Got a minute to talk about something private?" The way he says private sends a shiver down my spine, not the good kind. I blink, confused, my fingers still clutching the locker key. My first thought is that it's about Ethan. Maybe they're planning some kind of surprise for him, a birthday thing or a gag gift. I nod slowly, my curiosity piqued despite the weird vibe. "Sure, what's up?" I ask, my voice sounding smaller than I mean it to. Travis steps forward then, his tone clipped, sharp in a way that cuts through the stale air. "We've got an offer for you. $450, cash, if you'll do something for us." My breath catches in my throat, and I freeze, the key slipping slightly in my sweaty palm. $450? For what? My mind scrambles for an explanation, but nothing makes sense. Mark picks up where Travis leaves off, his eyes pleading now, though his words are heavy with something I can't place. "We just need you to keep a secret, Brooke, and do us a favor. It won't mean anything, not really. No one has to know." My heart starts pounding, a frantic rhythm against my ribs, as the weight of what they're implying begins to sink in. I don't fully grasp the details yet, but I know it's wrong. Whatever they're asking, it's a betrayal, a line I shouldn't cross, especially not with Ethan's closest friends. My thoughts spiral, a chaotic mess of panic and disbelief. How did I even get here, standing in this dim hallway, being asked to do something that could shatter everything I've built with my husband? But then there's that other voice in my head, the one I hate to admit is there, whispering about the bills piling up on the kitchen counter, the stress of late payments, the arguments with Ethan over money that leave us both drained. $450 could ease that burden just for a little while. It's a one-time thing, right? Ethan would never find out. No one would. My hands tremble as I look between them, Mark's face etched with a desperate kind of hope, And Travis's, cold and unyielding, like he's already decided I'll. As I walk back to the group at the bowling alley, my heart is a jackhammer in my chest, each beat echoing the weight of what I've just done. I can still feel the cold cash tucked into my pocket, a silent reminder of the line I've crossed. My face feels like a mask, stiff and unnatural, as I force a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Jenna looks up from her seat, her margarita glass half empty, and tilts her head with a curious grin. "Hey, where have you been, Brooke? We were about to send out a search party." Her tone is light, teasing, but it cuts through me like a blade. I open my mouth to respond, but my voice cracks, betraying me. "Just needed some air," I mumble, barely audible over the crash of pins and the thumping music. I can feel the heat rising to my cheeks, and I pray she doesn't notice the way my hands are trembling as I slide into a chair near the edge of our lane. Inside, I'm a storm of chaos. Every sound, every movement feels amplified, like the world is closing in to expose me. Ethan's laugh, usually a comfort, now slices through me like a jagged edge, each hearty chuckle a reminder of the trust I've shattered. I steal a glance at him, watching as he claps Travis on the back after a solid strike, and my stomach twists. Does he know? Could he sense it somehow? My eyes dart to Mark, who's leaning against the scoring table, cracking a joke with Jenna. His gaze flicks to mine for a split second, and I swear there's something sharp in it, something knowing. Or am I imagining it? Travis, too, seems to carry a weight in his stare when he looks my way, his usual quiet smirk replaced with something colder, more calculating. Every glance from them feels like a threat, like they're silently daring me to slip up. My hands grip the beer bottle in front of me, the glass slick with condensation, but I hold it too tightly, my knuckles whitening. I can't seem to loosen my grip, as if letting go would mean losing control of everything. My eyes keep drifting to the back exit near the locker area, half expecting someone to storm through with proof of my betrayal. Maybe a witness, maybe a whisper of what went down in those shadows. My mind flashes back to that moment, unbidden, a snippet of memory that claws at me. The dim light, the hushed urgency in Mark's voice, the way Travis handed over the money with a look that said I was in too deep to back out now. I shake my head, trying to focus on the game, on the clatter of pins, but the images keep creeping in, haunting me with every breath. Ethan's voice pulls me out of my spiral. "Hey, you okay, Brooke?" He's standing beside me now, his brow furrowed with concern, those hazel eyes searching mine. My heart lurches. I can't meet his gaze for long, so I force another weak smile and shrug. "Yeah, just tired. Long week, you know." The lie slips out so easily, and I hate myself for it. I hate how natural it feels to deceive him, the man who's been my rock for 8 years. He nods, but there's a flicker of doubt in his expression, like he senses something's off. He doesn't push, though, just squeezes my shoulder briefly before turning back to the lane, and I'm left with the bitter taste of my own dishonesty. Across the lane, Mark and Travis are acting like nothing's happened. Mark's booming laugh fills the air again as he teases Jenna about her latest gutter ball, and Travis is back to his quiet, focused self, lining up another shot with that smug precision. Watching them carry on as if everything's normal makes me question myself. Did I imagine the coldness in their eyes earlier? Was that intensity just my guilt projecting onto them? Or are they just that good at hiding whatever game they're playing? My mind is a maze of doubt and paranoia, and I can't find my way out. I take a sip of my beer, but it tastes like I'm sitting in the passenger seat of our old sedan. The hum of the engine, a low drone beneath the faint crackle of the radio. Ethan's behind the wheel, his fingers tapping lightly on the steering column as he hums along to some classic rock tune I can't quite place. His voice is soft, carefree, a stark contrast to the storm raging inside me. I'm staring out the window, watching the streetlights blur into streaks of gold against the dark, but I'm not really seeing them. My mind is trapped in a relentless loop, replaying every second of what happened at the bowling alley. The dim hallway, the weight of the cash in my hand, the way Mark's voice dropped low and urgent, and Travis's cold, piercing stare that seemed to pin me in place. Each memory is a shard of glass, cutting deeper with every mile we drive closer to home. I want to open my mouth, to let the confession spill out, to tell Ethan everything and beg for forgiveness. But the words stick in my throat like a lump of coal, heavy and suffocating. How do you even start a conversation like that? How do you admit to something so unthinkable without shattering everything you've built together? Every turn of the wheel feels like a countdown to judgment. I can almost hear the ticking in my head, each second dragging me closer to a reckoning I'm not ready to face. My hands are folded in my lap, but they're trembling, and I press them harder against my thighs to hide it. Ethan doesn't notice, or if he does, he doesn't say anything. He's still humming, oblivious to the war I'm fighting inside. I steal a glance at him, at the familiar lines of his profile, the way his hazel eyes catch the glow of passing headlights. He looks so at peace, so trusting, and it twists the knife in my chest even deeper. I don't deserve that trust, not after what I've done. The guilt is a living thing, clawing at my insides, whispering that I've betrayed not just him, but every promise we've ever made to each other. I thought I could handle this, thought I could bury it and move on, but it's eating me alive. We pull into the driveway, the gravel crunching under the tires, and the house looms ahead, a silent witness to my shame. Ethan cuts the engine, stretches with a tired groan, and flashes me a small, sleepy smile. Long night, huh? I'm beat. His voice is warm, casual, and I nod, forcing my lips to curve upward, even though it feels like my face might crack from the effort. He heads inside, his footsteps heavy on the porch steps, and I trail behind, each movement mechanical, like I'm a puppet on strings. The door clicks shut behind us, and the quiet of the house wraps around me, oppressive and thick. Ethan mumbles something about crashing for the night and disappears down the hallway toward our bedroom, leaving me standing alone in the dim glow of the kitchen light. I can't follow him, not yet. The thought of lying beside him, pretending everything is fine while this secret festers inside me, is unbearable. So I linger in the kitchen, my fingers brushing against the cool edge of the counter as I try to anchor myself. Sleep is a distant dream. My mind is too loud, too chaotic. I pull out my phone, hoping to drown out the noise with mindless scrolling, anything to distract me from the weight pressing down on my chest. But before I can even unlock the screen, it buzzes in my hand, a sharp vibration that makes me flinch. A text notification pops up, and when I see the name, Travis, my blood turns to ice. My thumb hovers over the message for a moment before I tap it open, dread pooling in my stomach. The words stare back at me, cold and unyielding. Don't forget what you owe us. We'll be in touch. My heart stops, a sickening lurch that leaves me dizzy. This isn't over. I thought it was a one-time deal, a moment of weakness I could bury and forget, but they're not letting me go. They're holding this over me, a leash I wake up the next morning feeling like a shell of myself, my body heavy as if it's been hollowed out by the weight of last night's choices. The sunlight creeps through the bedroom curtains, pale and unforgiving, illuminating the dust motes floating in the air. I lie there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, the events at the bowling alley replaying in my mind like a broken record. Ethan's steady breathing beside me is a quiet reminder of everything I stand to lose. I can't stay in this bed, wrapped in the warmth of a life I've tainted. I slip out silently, my bare feet cold against the hardwood floor, and shuffle to the kitchen. My hands tremble as I pour a cup of coffee, the bitter aroma doing little to shake the fog in my head. I'm not just shaken, I'm determined. I can't keep living under this shadow, letting Mark and Travis pull the strings of my guilt. I have to end this, whatever it takes. I grab my phone, my fingers hesitating over the screen before I type out a message to Mark and Travis. I keep it short, clipped. Meet me at Rusty's Diner on 5th. 10 a.m. We need to talk. I hit send before I can second-guess myself, my heart thudding in my chest as I set the phone down on the counter. Rusty's is far from our usual haunts, a grimy little spot on the edge of town, where no one we know would think to look. It feels like the right place for a conversation that needs to stay buried. I spend the next hour pacing, trying to rehearse what I'll say, but every word feels inadequate, like trying to patch a sinking ship with paper. When it's time to leave, I throw on a jacket, mumble something to Ethan about running errands, and head out before he can ask questions. The drive to the diner is a blur, the streets outside my window smearing into gray streaks as my mind churns with dread and resolve. I get to Rusty's early, sliding into a booth in the far corner, the vinyl seat sticking to my jeans with a faint, unpleasant tackiness. The air smells of burnt coffee and old grease, a stale mix that turns my stomach. The diner is half empty, just a few weary truckers hunched over their plates and a waitress with tired eyes wiping down the counter. I sit there, hands clenched in my lap, watching the door with a growing knot in my chest. When Mark and Travis finally walk in, the bell above the door jangling sharply, my breath catches. Mark's broad frame fills the doorway first, his face set in a hard line, no trace of his usual booming laugh. Travis follows, his gaze cold and assessing as it lands on me, like he's already calculating how this will play out. They slide into the booth across from me, the table between us feeling like a battlefield. I don't waste time with small talk. My voice shakes as I lean forward, keeping it low so no one else can hear. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I want out. I'll give back the money. Every cent. Just leave me alone. The words spill out, raw and unsteady, but I force myself to hold their stares. Mark lets out a short, bitter laugh, the sound grating against my nerves. You're in too deep, Brooke. You think it's that easy to walk away? His tone is mocking, like I'm a child who doesn't understand the rules of the game. Travis leans in closer, his voice a dangerous whisper, his eyes narrowing. If you even think about talking, we'll make sure Ethan knows everything. We've got proof, and we'll lay it all out for him. Every detail. The way he lingers on that last word sends a chill down my spine, a sickening reminder of how much they could destroy with a single conversation. My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure they can hear it, but I swallow the fear, forcing myself to stay steady. I'll take that risk, I say, my voice cracking but firm. I can't live like this. Looking over my shoulder, waiting for the don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.